In a terrifying incident on a residential street, a bear was shot after attacking a man in Pennsylvania. The attack, which left the man injured, has raised serious concerns about wildlife encroaching into human-populated areas. With urban expansion and loss of habitat, encounters like this are becoming more common. But what led to this attack, and how can we prevent similar incidents in the future? Andrew Nearer had walked this path countless times before. It was supposed to be just another routine stroll to the local store in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. But what started as an ordinary day would soon turn into a fight for survival, one that neither he nor his community would ever forget. As he made his way along the familiar route, something caught his eye. A black bear, standing not too far away. At first, he did what anyone would do. He tried to keep his distance, hoping the animal would move along. But something about this bear was off. It wasn't just watching him. It was locking onto him. And then, without warning, it charged. Imagine looking up and seeing a 200-pound bear sprinting straight at you. What would you do? Nearer barely had time to react before the bear was on him. It lunged, knocking him down, its claws ripping through his jacket, its teeth sinking into his arm. He fought back, but it was relentless, a flurry of fur, claws, and teeth. The suddenness of the attack was overwhelming. 1 second, he was walking. The next, he was in a battle for his life. His desperate screams shattered the evening's silence, catching the attention of a nearby neighbor. Seeing the brutal attack unfold, the neighbor knew there was no time to waste. Rushing inside, they grabbed a firearm and sprinted toward the chaos. Nearer was losing the fight, pinned beneath the bear, blood staining the pavement. Would one shot be enough to stop an animal in full attack mode? The first shot rang out, hitting the bear, but it barely flinched. The neighbor fired again. This time, the bear staggered, its strength fading. A final shot brought the attack to an end. The terrifying ordeal was over, but the echoes of the battle lingered in the air. Nearer lay battered and bleeding, but thanks to his neighbor's quick action, he was alive. Paramedics arrived swiftly, treating his wounds and rushing him to the hospital. The Pennsylvania Game Commission soon stepped in, testing the bear to determine what could have caused such an unprovoked attack. The results were shocking. The bear tested positive for rabies. That explained everything. Rabies strips animals of fear, making them unpredictable, aggressive, and irrational. A healthy bear would have likely avoided a human encounter, but this one was driven by the disease, turning it into a mindless predator. What happens when wildlife starts acting like something out of a horror movie? The attack sent shockwaves through the community. Bears were a familiar presence, but never like this. Residents were left shaken, wondering if there were more rabid animals lurking in the area. Wildlife officials urged caution, reminding everyone to report any unusual animal behavior. Rabies isn't just a danger to humans. It can spread rapidly among animals, making it a serious public health risk. Despite the trauma, Nearer expressed a surprising sense of empathy. He pointed to the unusual weather patterns, wondering if climate shifts were disrupting wildlife behavior. "They're hungry. They're starving. They're supposed to be in hibernation," he said. "This weather is weird lately. Hot, cold, warm, cold." In the end, this wasn't just a survival story. It was a chilling reminder of how unpredictable nature can be. One moment, everything seems normal. The next, chaos strikes. But in the face of danger, a neighbor's courage made all the difference. The small town of Jim Thorpe won't forget this day anytime soon, and neither will Andrew Nearer. Black bears are usually known for their shy and elusive nature, avoiding humans whenever possible. In most encounters, they either retreat or cautiously observe from a distance before disappearing into the woods. But every now and then, something unusual happens, something that defies normal animal behavior. That's exactly what unfolded in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, when a black bear suddenly attacked a man in an act of sheer aggression. What makes a creature that normally avoids humans suddenly turn into a predator? That was the question on everyone's mind after the shocking attack. Wildlife officials later confirmed that the bear was infected with rabies, a rare but deadly virus that can make animals behave in ways that are completely unnatural. Rabies affects the central nervous system, leading to confusion, aggression, and a total loss of fear. This explained why the bear didn't back down. It wasn't thinking clearly. It was driven by the disease, turning a routine walk into a terrifying life-or-death struggle. Rabies is a virus that spreads through saliva, often transmitted by bites or scratches. Once symptoms begin to show, it is almost always fatal. The disease causes severe disorientation and unpredictable behavior, stripping an animal of its usual instincts. Healthy black bears are rarely a threat to people, but this one wasn't acting on instinct. It was in survival mode, fighting against an invisible enemy attacking its brain. That made it dangerously unpredictable. How often does something like this actually happen? The truth is, rabies in bears is extremely rare. The Pennsylvania Game Commission stated that while raccoons, foxes, and skunks are common carriers of the virus, bears almost never contract it. That made this case stand out, leaving many in the community unsettled. If a single bear could be infected, what about others? Could there be more rabid animals lurking in the area? These were the fears running through people's minds after the attack. While rabid bears are almost unheard of, other wild animals have been known to turn aggressive due to the disease. There have been reports of rabid foxes, coyotes, and even deer attacking humans with no provocation. In each case, the pattern is the same: disoriented, aggressive behavior, and an unwillingness to retreat. It's not about territory or hunger. It's about the virus hijacking the animal's instincts and turning it into something completely different. The Jim Thorpe attack was an isolated incident, but it served as a chilling reminder of how unpredictable nature can be. Wildlife officials urged residents to stay cautious and report any animal acting strangely. A wild animal approaching humans instead of fleeing is often the first sign that something is wrong. Quick reporting can mean the difference between a contained case and a bigger outbreak. Imagine walking in your own neighborhood only to come face to face with something straight out of a nightmare. That's exactly what happened that day in Jim Thorpe. Black bears are not supposed to act like this, but when a deadly virus takes hold, all rules go out the window. The attack may have been rare, but it was real, and it was a wake-up call. Nature is unpredictable, and sometimes even the most familiar creatures can become a serious threat. The response to the bear attack in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, was swift and precise. The Pennsylvania Game Commission was quick to confirm that the bear responsible for the attack tested positive for rabies. Now, bear attacks are rare enough, but throw rabies into the mix, and it becomes even more concerning. Rabies in bears is unusual, but it happens, and it can turn an already dangerous situation into a deadly one. The commission pointed out that male bears are more likely to be affected since they usually roam alone, reducing the risk to other animals. It was a rare event, but it had everyone on edge. So, what does this mean for the rest of the community? Naturally, people were shaken. It wasn't just the attack that had them worried. It was the possibility that more rabid animals might be out there, lurking in the woods. There was fear that rabies could be spreading, and no one wants to be the next victim of an aggressive animal. People started keeping their eyes peeled for any sign of unusual behavior in local wildlife. After all, Who would have guessed a bear could suddenly turn on someone like that? It made people think twice about taking a stroll through the woods, even if they'd done it hundreds of times before. Neighbors recalled the attack with shock, unable to wrap their heads around the idea of a bear acting so aggressively. Bears are known for being elusive, so when one suddenly becomes bold enough to attack, it raises a lot of questions. Could there be more out there? Could this happen again? And what if other animals were infected too? It was a moment that made people stop and reconsider how they've always thought about the local wildlife. Suddenly, animals that used to be admired from a distance were now a potential danger. People weren't just thinking about bears. The whole concept of rabid animals was brought into the spotlight. In response, the Pennsylvania Game Commission didn't just stand back and wait. They ramped up their efforts, urging the public to report any signs of abnormal wildlife behavior. Rabies is a silent danger that can spread quickly if not dealt with, and they wanted to make sure everyone was aware of the risks. Local authorities discussed implementing enhanced monitoring of wildlife populations to stay ahead of any possible outbreaks. It wasn't just about keeping people safe from immediate threats, but also about preventing something bigger from unfolding. So, what's next for the community? Will there be major changes in how wildlife is managed in the area? There's a good chance that authorities will push for more educational campaigns, teaching people how to spot the signs of rabies and what to do if they encounter an animal showing those signs. People need to be more aware than ever, because these kinds of attacks, though rare, can have a lasting impact. The Pennsylvania Game Commission made it clear public awareness is key. The safety of residents and the protection of wildlife are both important, and they go hand in hand. In the end, this event served as a reminder that wildlife, while beautiful, can also be unpredictable. It's a stark reality that many residents hadn't faced before, but it's one that's impossible to ignore now. With increased vigilance and a better understanding of how to handle such incidents, the hope is that this kind of attack won't become a regular occurrence. The community learned that while nature can be awe-inspiring, it also has its dangers, and being prepared is the best way to face them. Human-bear encounters are on the rise, and it's not just happening in isolated areas. Experts are increasingly sounding the alarm about how urbanization and food shortages are pushing bears into places they wouldn't normally be. So, what's driving this sudden uptick? It's simple: habitat loss. As cities expand and forests shrink, bears are being forced to venture into human-populated areas. With fewer places to roam freely, they find themselves searching through garbage cans, backyards, and even parks for food. This shift is leading to more confrontations, and unfortunately, they're getting more dangerous. Bear attacks are no longer just a rare headline. They're becoming a serious issue across the country. In fact, between 2022 and 2024, wildlife agencies in at least 18 states reported increases in human-bear interactions. The reality is, this problem isn't isolated to just one part of the country. From the rural outskirts of towns to the more developed areas, black bears are showing up in places they never have before. So, is it just a coincidence? Or is it part of a larger trend? But why are bears attacking in the first place? While most bear encounters are non-violent, the scarcity of natural food sources has made them more aggressive and unpredictable. When food is scarce in the wild, bears begin to search for easier meals in human-populated areas. A study recently showed that female bears in certain areas experienced a 57% drop in their population due to a lack of food. This drop, in turn, led to more human-bear encounters and, tragically, human fatalities. The story is unfolding all over the country, with a particularly alarming attack in October of 2024, where a hunter was mauled to death by a bear in Alaska. Earlier that year, another bear attack outside Yellowstone National Park resulted in the death of a woman. Does it seem like these encounters are becoming more frequent? It's not just in the wild anymore. These creatures are coming into our neighborhoods. It's easy to panic and assume that the worst will happen every time you step outside. But there are ways to prevent these attacks from happening. Experts stress that preparation is key. So, how do you protect yourself if you come face to face with a bear? First off, you need to make sure you don't surprise the animal. Keep your distance and always be aware of your surroundings. If you're in bear country, make noise when you walk, especially in areas with dense trees or where you can't see very far. Bears are naturally wary of humans and will usually avoid contact if they hear you coming. But if a bear does approach, never run. Instead, try to back away slowly, keeping your eyes on the bear. But what if the bear gets aggressive? In rare cases, you may find yourself in a situation where you need to defend yourself. Experts recommend using whatever you can to protect yourself, focusing on the bear's snout or eyes. If you're in a residential area, make sure all food is secured and that garbage is locked away in bear-proof containers. The more we understand how to coexist with these animals, the safer we'll be. If we're not proactive about educating ourselves and implementing proper safety measures, the number of attacks will only continue to grow. So, what's the bigger picture here? With human populations expanding and more wildlife habitats being encroached upon, we can expect these encounters to keep increasing. But it's not just about the bears. Other animals, like mountain lions and coyotes, are also feeling the pinch and becoming more aggressive as they lose their natural habitats. It's a tough situation all around. However, there's hope. With better wildlife management strategies, improved public awareness, and proactive measures in place, these encounters don't have to end in disaster. The goal is to learn how to peacefully coexist with these animals so that we can keep both humans and wildlife safe. To wrap things up, the rise in human-bear encounters is more than just a freak occurrence. It's a sign of bigger environmental changes at play. As urban sprawl continues and wildlife habitats shrink, bears are being pushed into human spaces in search of food, leading to increasingly dangerous interactions. This surge in encounters, fueled by food shortages and habitat loss, underscores the urgent need for awareness and preparedness. So, what can we take away from all of this? It's clear that understanding how to handle wildlife encounters is critical. Securing food, keeping a safe distance, and knowing how to react if a bear becomes aggressive can make all the difference. While these incidents may be on the rise, there's hope. With proper education, better wildlife management, and the right precautions, we can create safer spaces for both humans and bears. By learning to coexist, we can reduce the risk and ensure a safer environment for everyone. The shooting of the bear after it attacked a man in Pennsylvania is a chilling reminder of the risks that come with increased human-wildlife interaction. This incident raises crucial questions about wildlife management and safety protocols in neighborhoods near animal habitats. What steps should we take to ensure the safety of both residents and wildlife? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching.